Okay, so welcome to video number 2 of the Healing Your Relationship with Food. And I'm back in the barn. So this is where I do my Faith and Physiology series. But I have my microphone and I have my setup and we're back. So I can not be holding the phone the whole time. Now, last time we talked about your choices. This is your choices. And the theme of this is going to be something along the lines of I cannot make you healthy. I cannot make you care about your health. And that is one of the things I think doctors struggle with the most. It is easier to just give you the easy thing, the pill, the shot, the whatever it might be that is considered the silver bullet of care, is because doctors can't make you want to be healthy. So if you're choosing to go to a doctor, and this might seem too blunt, but if you're choosing to go somewhere that gives you the silver bullets just to make you feel better, then it's because it is easier to do the silver bullet method. It is hard to be healthy, and I can't make you want to be healthy. And that is one of the biggest challenges, not just the doctor faces, but that you face. And so today I want to try and give you a little bit of strategies to push you further over into caring about your health, because you might constantly think about it. And how much energy are you using to think about, man, I wish I could do this better. Man, I wish I could do that better. Man, I wish I could do this better. Okay, so there's a lot of you that are like, I've lost this much weight and I need to lose that much more. So first of all, let's just stop and see how far you've come. How much knowledge do you have about food? How much knowledge do you have about weight loss? How much knowledge or how many strategies do you have that you just can't seem to take a step towards using it? It's like, I can't seem to move towards this. And I really like to show you in my perspective. Being healthy is super easy for me, but it's also because I lost my health, and it took me a long time to find strategies to be healthy. So when I first started, it started from a wound, like body dysmorphia. Like I didn't think I was skinny enough, or blah, blah, blah. We could go all the way back to college days. And that's what drove me to working out. And so I don't look at that as a bad thing. I look at it, okay, I had the strategies to work out. Well, then I worked myself to death and I destroyed the resources that my body had to heal. And so I was constantly go, 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 didn't have a rest day in working out. I was a boss. I did hits. I did like high intensity training. I did lifting weights. I did all the things that I could, but it was all go, 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 go. Tear your body apart, make it look better, make the muscles look good, because I personally had a distorted view of my own body. And I wasn't looking at it as the temple for who I am. I was looking at let's see, I was looking at my body. I'm trying to think of a way to put this. So I'm going back to my headspace. And you can do this as well, as you can go back to your headspace, or you can dive into your headspace and see like what your motivation is right now to make a change. Because if it's not big enough, then you won't do it. So for me, it was big enough. It was just in a headspace outside in. And it was a place of, I feel lonely. I feel like I've been made fun of for being skinny for a long time. So I want to bulk up. I don't feel like guys like skinny girls. That was my headspace at that time. So right now, maybe you can stop and recognize, what is your headspace for wanting to get healthier? Is it because it's an outside in thinking, or is it an inside out? So now my headspace is, okay, I want to be able to jump around with my 7-year-old, and then my 1-year-old is soon to be never stopping because he's a boy and he's already nonstop, just crawling. So I want to be able to jump around, to do things with my kids. And I can't do that if I'm unhealthy. I want to be able to have clarity in thought. I don't want to have to feel exhausted all day, every day. I want that energy of my 7-year-olds. And so my drive is different now because it's an inside out. Like I want to be able to hike and I want to be able to be an inspiration. So these are things that are more inside, more value-based thinking. I like to learn about my body. I like to take care of my body. So do you see the difference? Now I can work out, but if I miss a workout, it's not tearing me up from the inside out. It's not, I'm losing something. Because here's the thing, we can be right here, right now, and our motivation can be from the past. Or we can be here right now, and it can be an addiction to a future. And that is, I'm telling you, it's a hard place to live from. I'm addicted to this future where I perceive it's different. Instead of being like, right now, I want more of this life that I already have. And being unhealthy gets in the way of that. So hopefully that makes sense. But if not, the purpose of today is to show you, is to make that a little bit more clear. So I have this, and I wrote this down actually before I went on vacation. Bad, in quotations, bad things happening are on the way, not in the way. That's one, a mindset shift that you have to have. Is like, what are your bad things that are happening? And you can take a moment and you can pause me if you're not live, and you can take a moment and you can say, what are the bad things? What do I consider the bad things that have happened to me in the past? And try not to, I'm going to pray for you right now, because writing down things that are bad can oftentimes take your nervous system to a place where it hurts. It's hard. Sometimes it can take you to a place of victimhood where then you spiral of, poor me, my life is hard. And that might sound like I'm like shooting an arrow into your heart and being an a-hole about it. But I do pray for the strength for you to be able to look at your bad things from a place of observation instead of a place of being deep in there. Because you can't ever look at hard things if you automatically fall back into like, oh, that happened to me. Oh, why did that happen to me? Instead, can you write down the bad things and then reverse them and see how they served you? And that's like a silver bullet right there. Just knowing that if you can be present enough to take the seat of the observer instead of the seat of the victim of the circumstance. It sounds like I am being mean, but I'm really not. If you can take the seat of the observer instead of the victim when it comes to the things that you perceive are bad, then you can say, okay, let me show you what I do. I'm going to take something. I'm going to look at what some people consider to be a bad thing. Let me think of something of my own. A lot of this I'm going based off of vibes that are coming to me. And so this is coming to me that I need to talk about this. So let's look at, I'm just going to write down bad thing or experience. I had a plan for this and it's going a completely different direction, but that's okay because we go with it. Actually, right here, bad. Okay, we have a bad thing or experience. And so every time, and here's a label that we like to give it. Trauma. Those of you that have worked with me in the past know that the first thing I do is I switch your thinking about the word trauma. Because every time you think of the word trauma, you instantly think of something negative happening to you, when really a trauma is just anything your nervous system cannot process. So you can have a good experience that traumatizes your nervous system. You can have an awesome, beautiful moment that traumatizes your nervous system because you cannot process. So we're going to put nervous system, NS, that's what I'm putting that as, can't process. And this happens because of our perceptions, the way we think about the experience. So if you label something as a trauma, it automatically gets labeled as bad. However, traumas can be good things happening to you, and then we chase that future fantasy, like I said. And traumas can be bad things happening, and we run away from experiencing those again in the future. And so then you're being torn between these two realities that don't even exist, because right now is the only moment that truly exists. And if you're running subconsciously with a tie to the future or a tie to the past, do you see how your energy, it's like your energy is split in different directions? And when I have patients on the table, I can oftentimes feel this. Their energy is pulled in a million different directions. And their bodies, like their neck will be going one way and their pelvis will be going another way. And this shows up as a pattern, a physical pattern in your body. So this is a thing that can show up in your digestive system as well. Because here's the thing. We've talked about this in past videos of my faith and physiology. But you have two different sides of your nervous system. This is your motor system. That means taking action. It can make things happen. So in your nervous system, you have parasympathetic, and I'm just going to write parasymp for time's sake, and then sympathetic. Okay, parasympathetic and sympathetic. I'm going to go over this briefly because this is important. Parasympathetic is, I'm losing my board. Rest, digest. Rest and digest, that's usually where people stop. But I'm also going to put heal. This is where your system gets time to recover. We can put recover here as well. Replenish. I don't think I spelled that right. Replenish. Sorry, I can't spell and talk at the same time. Okay, so that's the purpose of this side of your nervous system. Okay, that means it allows all of these, your system to start to switch over to the cells working on this side. So the cells are starting to recover. So they're removing the waste, they're getting rid of that stuff, they're replenishing resources. So reserves of energy are starting to be built back up. Okay. Whereas in sympathetic, we're taking action. We're going to put that there. Taking action, because I like to say it without the emotion that comes behind sympathetic. So sympathetic nervous system is really just for taking action, and powerful action. Okay. Taking action to keep you alive, taking action to protect you. And then we can put, this is what it's known as over here: fight, flight, freeze. So do you see the emotion behind that? There's a lot of like danger when we put this right here. Protecting from danger with these three words, right? Protecting from danger. But if we just view it through protection from danger, then we miss out on a whole beautiful opportunity, because sympathetic is also good for exercise. This is the system that turns on during exercise. And when we exercise, it actually makes this system more efficient. But we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole. But here's the thing that I want you to get out of this, is that these two things, they make the cells work a certain way. So this is using resources, right, for energy. So we're starting to break down. I'm going to put this here. Break down to increase energy usage. Okay, whether that's to build your muscles and exercise, to allow your heart to work better, or if it's constantly being used in this danger. And that's where the tipping point is. That's where the tipping point is. But here's the thing. When one is working, the other is not. They contradict each other. So when we're over here in this sympathetic stage, so say we're exercising, we're not necessarily replenishing, recovering, digesting, because we're over here in this taking action. The blood flows in our muscles. It's away from our gut. And that's something that's important for you to understand when you're trying to heal your relationship with food, because a lot of you have come to me and said, I'm inflamed. I can't figure out how to eat. I can't figure out how to take care of myself. I can't do a lot when it comes to food. And this is why. You're not worried about your digestion when you're stuck over here. And you're like, but I stress eat. You're right. You do stress eat because you need a lot of sugar over here. You need a lot of resources over here. So you can constantly be eating just to replenish it. And then on the other hand, you're like, well, when I'm over here, when I'm constantly stressed, I can't eat. Of course, you might be one of those people that your system is just not concerned with digesting food. And so it releases a certain hormone. We're not going to go into that too much today because that's not the purpose I wanted to take you down. But as you can see here, while one is working, the other is not. So if this side is always turned on, this side, you can't work. And so your digestive system, your rest, your recover and replenish all takes the back seat. And that has a certain effect. So I'm going to erase this here. I like to know, and I'm going to go back to that exercise. I'm going to put in the corner over here so I remember to go back to that bad experiences, and that'll be our exercise for today. So I'm going to put bad over here in quotations so that you can know how to get through that, because I realize I didn't finish that. So I want to talk about our cells, the cells of our digestive tract. And I wasn't sure how I wanted to go with this. Actually, before I started this video, I wasn't going to do it because I was like, nope, I don't want to do it. I'll cancel it. But I was really stressed because I was like, I haven't had a vision of what I should talk to you guys about. And when in reality, I have a plethora of information and I just need to show up and remember that you guys are going to give me the feedback. And even though I can't see your comments and even though I can't see what you're saying, I still get information of where the direction is, which is why in the first video I said, are you choosing? Are you going to make the choice to show up for yourself and to answer the questions that I send you and to subscribe? And then are you going to show up to doing the exercises? So I already gave you one exercise that I told you changed my digestive health. It changed my life. It changed my ability to process food. So the reason that I want to talk about cells going down to a micro level is because I want to show you how your body is set up. So we have what's called the alimentary canal. And so we can put a big spot here, traveling down. And remember, guys, I am not an artist. So we're going to hopefully you're kind of starting to get what this is. Okay, give me a moment. I can't draw and talk, apparently. I can't even write and talk, much less draw and talk. So this technically goes in front, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what this is. But we are going to draw it behind, just for the sake of being able to see all the parts. Okay, I could probably have drawn this before, but then I would have missed out on the ability to teach other things, right? So maybe you're starting to get what this is, hopefully. Start erasing these little parts here. Give myself a little outline. You can always fast forward through this until I have it drawn, or you can listen to my whimsiness of, what is this? I don't know if y'all can actually hear the cricket that's in here. Remember, I'm in a barn. As you know, it's early in the morning. And there is a really feisty little cricket over there. And I don't know if you can tell. Okay. So I don't know if you know what this is yet, but this is called the alimentary canal, known as the digestive canal system. And we have primary organs, and this whole thing is considered external. So this is still outside of your body, because as you can see, I open my mouth, that's technically outside of my body. And that goes all the way down. Your mouth is considered a primary, your pharynx, your esophagus, and it's obviously a lot longer than this, your stomach, your duodenum, jejunum, your ileum, your small intestines, and then we can come up here and we have like your cecum, your transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum. Okay, so that is that. All that canal is outside of your body, and then you have accessory organs, like you have your liver here, and behind it is your gallbladder. Whoop. You have your pancreas that sits like right here. Sits right there. Those are accessory organs. You have your appendix that kind of comes out here. That's more of a immune organ, but it's part of your, it like extends off of your intestines. Okay, so why am I talking about this? What's important? You kind of know this like from, young school ages, but here's the thing. I think it's important to understand the different kinds of cells, micro level, that are playing a part in your body, because we're sitting here and we're looking at moving into the future and making healthier choices. And I think it's nice to know, and it really helps to know that you have cells that are playing a certain role in protecting you. So all of this canal here is lined with what is called epithelia. And so just bear with me here while I give you the rundown on what this is really fast. So this epithelia, based on where it is in your body, almost threw that off there, sorry. Based on where it is in your body, it has a certain function, and the function is determined by the form. So form determines function. So the forms of these cells, they play a specific role, and this epithelia is just layers of cells, and how they're shaped plays a role in what they do. Okay, so as you can see, from outside cheek to inside cheek, that's all still the outside of my body. And so your skin is considered epithelia, and the form of your skin determines what it does. So our skin is very keratinized, which makes it waterproof, and it makes it very strong. And so what that means is that it protects us. It's our first protective barrier is our skin. Well, then as we start to get into when we're going down low, cheek to cheek, the other cheeks, they also have down in this rectum, we could start here and here. In your rectum, it's the most external layer of cells coming out of your anal canal is very tough epithelial. It has keratin, and that's to make it waterproof and to make it tough, because it's the outside layer. It's meeting with the outside. And so you can already see that your body is designed to keep you alive. It's designed to protect you. And going off of that, it's important to recognize that alone. That going back to saying, like, this is a temple that my soul resides in, that I have some form of intelligence that's moving through me. And whereas before, it was an outside in thinking. It's how can I attract the boys, or how can I make myself look good for other people? It was very dysmorphic, right? Instead of how can I allow this temple to be more of my purpose? And oftentimes you don't even know what your purpose is, But if you have an intelligence flowing through you, so basically if you're alive right now, you have a purpose, you have a reason for being here, and you can choose to step into that reason, or you can continue being controlled by the situations, the traumas of your life. And I don't say traumas with quotations around it to make fun of traumas, to lessen what they are. But we can choose to use them, or we can choose to be used by them. And when people come to me with chronic conditions, whether that's the chronic inability to be healthy, or a chronic illness, or a chronic pain, it usually tells me that something is you are being used by something instead of using something that has happened in your past, or you are allowing something in your future to control and dictate and create a fantasy in your life right now. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So I want to show you, like, purpose when we are being used by something, or when we are living in our purpose and we're not stepping outside of our boundaries. This is what happens. And I like to use the cells in our body to show you this, because they serve a purpose. Each individual cell that we can't really separate here, they all look like one thing. They're individual cells, and they're all working together for your good. Okay? So in our mouth, we have epithelium, and it's squamous, so it's squished. So the cells, basically, there's a bunch of them that are squished like this. Okay? Okay? Squished together. And their purpose is to protect you, right? Inside your mouth. Protect you. And then you have glands and things like that that are secreting saliva. But the cells here are really squished. They're really flat. And they're there for protection. The same thing that happens in your esophagus, because your esophagus, it's not really absorbing anything, and neither is your mouth. It's just the first point of contact, should be, of, and like your nose, but it's the first point of contact where things are entering. They're going to be entering, because remember, this is still outside of your body. So you have these cells, these squished cells. They're here for protection. Okay? Then we start to move into the stomach. The stomach is really cool. It has 3 layers that are there to help you start to move the food. But remember, the stomach has a really low pH, and pH is just such a fascinating, it's so cool. pH is really cool, but we have a low pH, which means that it's very acidic. There's a lot of really powerful ions floating around in here. And what they do is they tear up proteins. Okay? And so what you have in your stomach is simple columnar. That's what they're called. So they're long cells like this. Well, right. Like this. And then this is squamous. This is columnar. Okay, columnar. And so basically, through the rest of your digestive tract is these columnar cells. Now, in the stomach, you have these columnar cells that will release, they'll release alkaline substances, and then they will release really acidic substances. And there's 2 doing the opposite thing. So right along, because your stomach has a lot of like ridges and ripples inside of it to increase the surface area, right? So it kind of looks like that. And so the muscles are moving. You have these pits. And so right up next to the cells, you have little cells that are releasing alkaline secretions. And that's to protect the cells. But once you get closer up here, they're releasing more acidic secretions, because what needs to happen is you need that acid to break down your proteins. And as the proteins start to break down, they start to steal hydrogens. They start to steal them, and that will increase the pH. And then you can't break down your food properly. So you can see how these cells are playing this symphony together for your good. Okay. And what happens is when we have a typical diet, like when this system is working properly, which it should work properly, it's always working properly. It's just, is it working to defend you, or is it working to move you forward? Because if we're stuck, remember we have this, I'm going to put parasympathetic versus sympathetic. Digestion happens. Food enters, right? We have food that comes in. We'll put this in green. So we have food that comes into the system, and it's going to follow a certain track. And when we are in this parasympathetic, which is the rest, digest, heal, these cells will be doing what I just spoke of. These ones closer down here, they're going to be releasing more alkaline substance to protect the cells of the stomach. And these ones that are closer, these columnar cells that are closer to here, and I'm not going to go into the names of them, they're releasing more of an acidic substance into the stomach so that you can digest your food. Okay? That's what's happening when we're over here. They're serving their role. Okay? And as they start to move through here, the parasympathetic nervous system will make those muscles move and work. And they'll let the sphincter right here, let the food through. And then you still have these columnar cells. And look at this. So all cells have a nucleus. We're not going to go into that too much today. And then they have all these different little organelles or parts that do certain things. And so you can see here, squished flat, doesn't have a lot of room to do a lot of things. It's really just, we need to protect this area. But when you come to these columnar cells, you can see they're starting to have they need more space. And so the space is, we got to be able to secrete things. And then once we start to get into the intestines, where we're absorbing things, it's made up of these little columnar cells, right? And we're starting to need to not only secrete a lot of mucus so that the fecal matter can move through, but also we need to start absorbing things. So it's things going out and things going into the cells, and we have to be able to process them. So they have a lot bigger space. So can you see that? Like, to me, that is a beautiful design. Okay. And that is happening all through this intestines. We're starting to digest things. Whoops. And so we're absorbing our fats, proteins, carbs, nucleic acids. Those are the building blocks of who you are. Your proteins build who you are. Your fats give you long-term energy, and your carbs, which turn into simple sugars, give you bursts of energy. Okay. I needed a burst of energy just to snap my fingers like that, right? That's glucose. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole, is our relationship with sugar. And you guys let me know if that's something y'all want to go down. But you have these cells that are serving a certain purpose. And then once we start to get into the colon, it is also columnar cells, but their main purpose is absorbing water, vitamins, nutrients like that. So where here we're absorbing our macronutrients, in the colon, we're absorbing our micronutrients and water back. Okay. And then once we start to get to the rectum, it's really cool because you start off, it has 4 different types of cells right there. You have the columnar, it starts as columnar, and then the cells start to get smaller. They go to what's called cuboidal. And because you're not really needing to absorb anything anymore. And then they start to go to squamous, and then they go to keratinized. So they're really strong. They're really waterproof. So as you're moving through this region, the cells are starting to change. Now, looking at that, the beauty of that, and the beauty of that design, it goes back to the design of your life. And if we look at it through the lens of, there is a higher intelligence. I call it God. You might not call it God. But there is a higher intelligence here. Look at the coordination of this. And so it goes back to us recognizing the coordination of your life. That when we are looking, I'm going to erase this now so we can go back to that exercise. When we're looking at our lives and we see that there's a role in even the tiniest cell, and inside our cells, there's organelles that play the tiniest role that makes such a macro impact, not only to your life, but to the life of everyone else around you, then how can you think that anything bad ever happened to you? And that's what I'm talking about, being used by versus using. Okay, so let's say we had a bad experience. So you can write this down. This is an exercise for you. You can write down your bad experience. And what I do with people, and this is massive. You have a bad experience and you've been being used by it, which means that you're running in the sympathetic state. Okay, which means, and when we're talking about sympathetic state, because a lot of people have trouble exercising, that's something that popped up, even though we're talking about healing the relationship with food, you see that exercise and diet, they seem to mentally go hand in hand together. If I'm not exercising, my diet's poor. Okay. However, what's happening is that we perceive danger. And if we constantly perceive danger, that means that those cells in your stomach, they're not going to release things like they should, which means going into your digestive tract, your small intestines, you're going to have undigested food, and you're not going to be releasing certain enzymes and chemicals that you need to break down your food. So you have this, and you have unbroken down food in your system that sits there for a long time, probably because you have decreased parasympathetic tone, which means that the muscles in your intestine, in your digestive system, they're not working. Decrease muscular contractions. And every time you think of this bad experience, whether you consciously realize it or not, because what happens is we start to make choices based on these bad experiences that it's like, I don't want to experience that again. And we don't realize the defensive patterns that we start to build up, like taking certain steps, like a defensive pattern of eating or of not eating. And then our relationship with food goes. So let's look at that. We can see the ripple effects of that. Now let's look at how we change that, right? Because I can't make you choose to be healthier, but what I can do is help you want to be healthier. So you saw that each of those cells played an important role in your body. You're somebody who's still alive, who's still here. And maybe you're letting yourself be used in a certain way. Maybe that's you're letting yourself be overworked. You're letting yourself say, I don't have time to do the things that I want to do. And here's the thing. When you are being used by the situations in your life, you can't be used by the weaver, by the creator, by God to do the things that the micro things that you're here to do. That squamous cell is here to protect. That columnar cell is here to absorb and secrete. And you might be somebody that's trying to play all of those roles at once. You're in the rectum trying to be all different types of cells. And you're doing this because you're afraid of experiencing something in the past. So you have all these different strategies to play all these different roles, when really you just need to be playing your roles that are designed for you. And then you're also being pulled by the future fantasy of, I need to be this person doing this thing. I need to give. I need to inspire. I need to be all of this. I want to experience this. I want to feel good. And so again, you're being pulled in all different directions. So let's start by clearing up this bad experience. So you've had a bad experience. You could take one right now. What I do with my clients is, and this is just taking a history, asking a question. Do I feel like I have a bad experience? When did this all start? Bad experience. Okay. Then what I do with them. Okay. this bad experience, and most people are really good at this, honestly, is this bad experience gave me this. It gave me this. And let's look at all of the strategies that it gave you, all the good things that this bad experience gave you. So, for example, I'm trying to think of an example to give you. Pain. So I dealt with 7 years of chronic pain. What did that bad experience give me? Well, first of all, I know a lot about the human body. And so that means not only can I take care of myself better, but I can take care of my family better. And not only can I take care of my family better, but I can teach them different strategies. So I'm not doing it for them. I'm teaching them the ways of a healthier lifestyle from a lack of a bad experience, right? Not from a triggered point of view, but from a non-emotional doctorate point of view. What else did it give me? It gave me a very good sense of my own body. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm looking at the ripple effect. So I'll say one good thing that it gave me, and then I'll go to, what did that good thing give me? And what did that good thing give me? That's all for one thing that it gave me. And then I can look at the ripple effects of it. And then I go to another thing. What else did it give me? Good bodily awareness. Good bodily awareness. That helps me to know when I'm out of balance. And what's the benefit of that? I can start to make changes. What's the benefit of that? Okay, what's the benefit of that? Don't get big sicknesses. So do you see that? Good, good, good. And I will do that until it's like, oh man, I'm super grateful for that bad experience. Okay, then let's look at it, the fantasy, how you wanted it to happen. How you wanted or want it to happen. And this will be the drawback. The drawback of if it happened the way that you wanted it to happen. So the drawback would be, if it happened the way I would have never gone to be a doctor. Drawback. I would have never learned how to take care of my kids. Drawback. Do you see the ripple effect that's happening as you are starting to balance these out? So you have a perception that this is bad. What we're doing is we're changing the brain to make it to where you don't just have a high sympathetic tone. Right? And then on the other hand, when we look at the fantasy, you not having this, you not having it the way that you wanted it, will also increase high sympathetic tone. So what we're doing here is we're basically starting to bring these back into balance. Do you see what's happening here? So you're changing it. You're changing it. Oh, drop my lid. You're changing it in your brain, and that will change the way your body responds to it. Does that make sense? If you guys have, sorry, let my mother start this car. That's what happens with being in the barn. But what happens there is you start to see the beauty in every single moment. You start to see the power of not being used by your experiences, but using those experiences to say, oh, those helped me in my purpose. Those helped bring me closer to God. Those helped bring me to the job that I have now. And if you can learn to reverse this, so your weight right now, that's a big thing. Your weight right now, right? You have a bad association with your weight. Or you have, we'll put bad right here. You have a bad association with your weight. You have a bad association with your eating habits. Nope, it's one eye. See, habits. you have a bad association with meal prepping, right? Meal prepping. Maybe you have a bad association with healthy food. It doesn't taste good, right? It's hard for me to do it. Okay? So let's look at, okay, what's the benefit of your weight right now? What's the benefit of it? What's it doing for you? Maybe it's your eating habits. I just stress eat. What's the benefit of that? Maybe it's giving you sugar. It's keeping you calm. It's keeping you from taking your own life. It's keeping you from taking your coworker's life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what that's doing right now. And what you're doing is you're taking the judgment out of that. And a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll pray for God's eyes when I'm doing this, because his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. And when I'm thinking, oh, my weight is bad, or oh, my eating habits are bad, or oh, my meal prep, what that does is that makes me more stressed. So if we can take the charge out of that, one, it allows your body to just chill out, tip back over into that parasympathetic side, rest, digest, heal. And that way, you can start to make different choices. The other thing, let's look at, we have this fantasy of good. I don't know if those look different, but we have this fantasy of good. So skinny. Maybe it's healthy eating. I'll tell you, there are drawbacks to healthy eating. There were times that I would eat nothing. I would rather eat nothing than eat something that was unhealthy, and it was starving me, and I was hurting. My mind wasn't working correctly. I was getting headaches, things like that. Meal prepping. You have to sacrifice time with your family to meal prep sometimes. Let's see here. Balanced meal. You have to give up a lot of things. Like, what if you have to give up eating with friends? You know what I'm saying? There are drawbacks to the other side. And can you find the balance in those moments? And so that is your assignment this week, is can you take some of those, and it doesn't just have to be with your experience with eating. It can be your experience with your mother. That's such a big one. My mom did this to me. My mom did that to me. My dad did this to me. My coworker does this to me. Taking what we perceive to be as bad, switching the perception, because even their choices, you can use them or you can be used by them. Other people's choices, other people's experiences, you can be used by them, or you can use them to fuel you. Okay, so hopefully that resonated with you. Leave me some, you're more than welcome to send questions, send realizations, comment on the YouTube video, send me emails so that I know what's going on. Ask questions if you're confused by this. This is a hard concept, but it is a silver bullet. It is a silver bullet for a lot of different things. And keep going with the good, the bad, the experience until that experience changes and it's no longer the same in your body. It doesn't feel the same anymore. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the small head, but apparently my time is up. And I hope that you guys are enjoying this process, and I will see you next time.
Hello, bye.